A nation and the people on the move, keeping you up to date. Belmopan Weekly.
Tonight on Belmopan Weekly, Public Service launches draft ICT strategy, Youth Hostel holds summer program, and more top news stories. Good evening and thanks so much for being with us on this Thursday, the 4th of August. I'm Dawn Mitchell. On Friday, the 29th of July 2011, the Ministry of Public Service presented the draft National Information and Communication Technology ICT strategy to stakeholders. Belmopan Weekly was there.
This National Information and Communication Strategy is not only a strategy that is proposed to enhance our technological systems in Belize, but one which, according to Dr. Geraldo Flowers, lead consultant, will propel our country's development.
This work started about 6 months ago in March in terms of under the Ministry of the Public Service, in terms of trying to bring stakeholders from the public, private, international donor agencies together to look at ways in which information and communication technology can be used in national development, particularly in areas such as poverty elimination by creating more jobs, in areas such as sustainable economic development by making businesses more efficient and effective, in ways such as universal access to education by providing more trained teachers, by providing better curriculum, by utilizing ICT within the curriculum, and in enhancing democratic governance by allowing citizens from the rural areas in particular to participate, to communicate in governance of their country using ICT.
And speaking of governance, according to the Director of Government's Governance Improvement Unit, Mrs. Freya August, the fact that there is a strategy to present indicates government's strong commitment to improving governance structures in this country and moreover its devotion to the sustainable development of Belize.
The current structure for ICT is within the Ministry of the Public Service. The minister having that mandate has seen it fit for us to develop a strategy that would create that roadmap that would maximize ICT as an enabler as well as a sector in itself, but particularly when we look at improving governance, government being more efficient, more transparent, more accountable. The use of ICT has revolutionized not only here in Belize but across the region, and certainly to be on board and to be able to propel Belize to be able to develop even more faster, the need for an ICT strategy has become more than necessary.
And while the process has been very consultative and participatory, there is doubt to whether stakeholders and implementers will actually implement. But judging from the responses received from members of the public and private sectors, well, it seems there needs to be.
ICT is so much a part of our daily lives, the way we eat, the way we read, the way we educate ourselves, the way we become a part of everything. And so for this to be here now, and I feel that I'm a part of the process. You're being involved. Your ability to contribute, your ability to critique, your ability to just know that, you know what, it's going to happen now. And you have the driving force to say that after it's developed, it won't be sitting on a shelf.
Our ideas were put forth, our recommendations put forth, and they have been integrated into the draft document that is being presented here today. Additional input is being solicited through this process, and we have a lot of representation from government and some representation from private sector. I think the process is good, you know, to integrate all the ideas and everything into this. Now, what is left to be done is to get buy-in from the powers that be to take on the strategy, that document that will be presented, and make sure that action plan is developed. That would be the next stage to implement the various recommendations of the document.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
The National ICT Strategy will now be presented to Cabinet for approval. One key recommendation is the creation of a new department that focuses entirely on ICT, along with an advisory council. The events and experiences of our youthful days have a long-lasting impact on the rest of our life. Recognizing this, the Youth Hostel under the Ministry of Human Development and Social Transformation held an instructive and fun summer program at the Youth Hostel compound in Hattieville, 21.5 miles Western Highway. Rudy Aguilar was present for the last day.
I'm that star up in the sky, on that mountain peak up high, really made it. I'm the world's greatest, and I'm that little bit of hope when my back's up.
Oh, if only those youthful days could last forever. Song, dance, smiling faces. According to Glenda May Martinez, Chief Supervisor of the Youth Hostel, approximately 40 young people enjoyed outdoor activities, learning new crafts and trades, and enjoying each other's company, in addition to more tangible benefits.
This summer program was geared to empower the youths with knowledge and skills so that when they leave the institution, they will be able to go out in their community and practice what they have learned. They can be entrepreneurs.
But while entrepreneurial skills are certainly beneficial, the program was all about trying to help carve well-rounded individuals by exposing them to different activities, including sports. One of the football trainers, Albert Cabral, told us what it was like to interact with these promising adolescents.
What this does to them is instead of using their energies, right? Because young people have a whole lot of energy. So instead of wasting their energy on negative things, right? They use their energy positively on the football field, right? And football is a trade, right? You could make a lot of money from it, right? If you're good. And 2 or 3, 4 of the players, they're very good, right? Particular Ernest Leslie, Bruce Berry, Pitata, right? Hassan. These guys are very good footballers, and I see them as being top footballers in Belize if they continue, right? If they continue in that path, right? So that is what football does with them.
Medals were also awarded to those who excelled in the various fields and categories.
Kadim Oliveira, Kadim Khan Oliveira, congratulations. Then Giovanni Pitata Agustin, come on up for your medal, congratulations.
There was a special award for the participant who did best in the overall program.
Ellen has been a good student, well-behaved, listened and everything, and she is one of the person that did the best then in the whole 3 weeks of our class.
And though awards could not be distributed to everyone, according to the other participants, their reward was just having had the opportunity to participate. But don't take our word for it, take theirs.
Actually, we learned about cosmetology, manicure, pedicure, and facial.
Okay.
So if you don't have no job, you could go out there, you could start up your own booth, and you could do your design or what's not. And life skill, we learn about communicating with each other, and friendship, and how to resolve a problem.
In this event here, my participation was a real success. I've really liked my coaches, my supervisors who work with me. They were a real success towards this institution. I would like to recommend to other youths, stay out of trouble, stay in school, and there's a lot of things to learn out here, so just try your best to be someone in life.
I learned a lot of things, more football, about life skills, drama, all kind of things, bamboo, to make things out of bamboo.
I learned at least salsa, firework, and I know. And I know how to teach my little sister and my brother it, and that's where I learned. And I had to produce my own dance class when I come out for next month. I had to open my own dance class I make my money right for the sweater when they teach me that way I learn for the summer program.
Me, when I usually play football. When I come back, I just learn more football and more bamboo arts. When I go out there, I have to make anything from the world girl. That right there to make all the money off.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Rudy Aguilar.
And if you thought this was all for the summer program, well, think again. Starting on Monday of next week, the youth will be engaged in charitable activities throughout the country. Some will visit the Golden Haven Home for the Elderly and also community service, repairing an elderly institution which has been in need of repairs and upgrading. The summer program lasted from 11th to 29th July and was open to young people ages 12 to 17. I'll look at more for top news stories when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
The bill gives the government and people of Belize majority ownership and control over BTL, BEL, and BWSL and will make it impossible to revoke that ownership and control.
The bill preserves the right of the previous owners of BEL and BTL to proper compensation with a reasonable time for their acquired property.
The bill recognizes the democratic right of the legislature elected by the people to determine who should own and control public utilities. The bill also recognizes the political right of the government to make acquisition orders in the public interest. The bill contains a provision that says no court should overturn the amendment to the Constitution once the amendment is properly passed. In countries such as the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, courts also cannot overturn constitutional amendments properly passed.
The Constitution of Belize as it now stands and has stood since independence already contains 6 sections saying the same thing, that actions taken under those sections should not be upset by the courts.
The bill does not stop citizens from going to court, and the fact that the court should not overrule a constitutional amendment properly passed is a right given to the people by the Constitution itself. The bill deserves support because it enshrines the right of the people to own the utilities, because it affirms the supremacy of our Constitution, and because it protects the national interest of Belize.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, thanks for tuning in. The Ministry of Works, in partnership with the Belmopan City Council, signed a contract with the Belize Roadway Construction Company on the 26th July 2011 to upgrade the streets of Belmopan, namely the Atlantic, Jamaica, and Pacific streets. Belmopan Weekly was there and has this report.
Exciting news for residents of Belmopan. On the 26th July 2011, the government of Belize gave the green lights to start the refurbishing of streets in Belmopan City. We were at the contract signing. The Minister of Works, Honorable Anthony Martinez, signed on behalf of the government of Belize. The Chief Engineer, Mr. Lennox Bradley, signed on behalf of the Ministry of Works. His Lordship the Mayor, Mr. Simeon Lopez, signed on behalf of the Belmopan City Council. Mr. Jacob Banman, owner and general manager of the Belize Roadway Construction Company, signed as the contractor. Here is more on this important event.
And today we are getting ready to signing off on 3 streets, Atlantic, Jamaica, and Pacific streets. And then I want to congratulate the mayor and his team for his hard work, the Ministry of Works on their hard work in preparing and assisting the municipalities. And I want to congratulate the contractor who has given us good price. And apart from that, we know that this contractor have delivered quality service and we have gotten good service for our money. So on that note, I want to say thanks, and I wish the contractor well, we wish City Council well.
We also heard from His Lordship the Mayor, Mr. Simeon Lopez.
On behalf of the Belmopan City Council and the people of Belmopan, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for this assistance through the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Works to begin some facelift of Belmopan. Belmopan needs urgently this facelift, and we are highly appreciative of that.
Refurbishing of streets immediately started since the funding was allocated, and we also caught up with the area representative for Belmopan, Honorable John Saldiva, as he spoke with the contractor and inspected the site. We asked him for his insight.
Firstly, I think that the project will take about 2 to 2.5 months to complete. So within another 3 months or so, we should have these streets properly paved and ready to be used. I am also in negotiation with the contractor to see if we can extend the project to the rest of the streets in this Caribbean Villas area so that we can do the complete paving of all the streets in the Caribbean Villas area. So that is my hope.
And if you are wondering why these particular streets are getting attention, well, according to Area Representative Honorable John Saldivar, it was a matter of priority.
And why these streets? Because the Caribbean Villas area is a development that I believe is the oldest development in Belmopan proper, that was developed since 1995 and has never really received any major infrastructural works since then. And so in discussing it with the mayor, we agreed that in moving along with the paving of streets, and as you know, we should be paving even more streets under the municipal infrastructure project, which should come on stream hopefully before the end of this year.
For Belmopan Weekly, I am Claudia Grouch.
Financing came from the Ministry of Finance through the Ministry of Works and is another collaborative effort by the government of Belize and its municipalities. The estimated cost to upgrade the streets is $184,761.25. Youth for the Future is celebrating Youth Week 2011 from the 7th to 13th August 2011. This year's theme is Youth Step Up, Be Heard, Take Responsibility. This the week country. Several activities will be held during the week throughout the entire country. Opening ceremonies for National Youth Week will be held in Belize City on Sunday at 1 p.m. at the House of Culture. In Belmopan, a talent show is planned for Tuesday, the 9th of August at the George Bryce Center. On Wednesday, the 10th of August, a cleanup campaign will be held in Salvapan. On Thursday, the 11th of August, there will be an educational talk at the Belmopan Civic Center. On Friday, August 12th, the Youth Award Ceremony and National Honor will be held at the Belize Biltmore Plaza in Belize City. On Saturday, the 13th of August, there will be a football and basketball field day in Kamalote Village. Youths in the surrounding areas of Belmopan are encouraged to come and sign up at the Youth for the Future office behind Diamond's Restaurant or contact Ms. Dakers at 605-0195 or Mr. Guy at 630-0720. No later than Friday the 5th of August 2011. Lunch will be provided for most events. When we come back, the latest edition of the Prime Minister Reports. You don't want to miss it.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life, as you know it, is completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at www.nemo.org.bz.
Welcome back. And now, the latest edition of the Prime Minister Reports.
Good evening and welcome to the Prime Minister Reports. Stay tuned for the Prime Minister's comments and information on Belize's sugar industry and the current situation on the offer to purchase BSI. You'll also hear the Prime Minister's discussion on proposed Amendment Number 9 to the Constitution and the procedures that must be followed as mandated by the Constitution.
Hi again. This time I thought I would begin by talking a little bit about the sugar industry. It's been much in the news recently, And let me start by congratulating the farmers. They are, even as we speak, receiving their second payment for the last crop. And that second payment is the best it has been pretty much in history. And I want to remind people that this is because of the memorandum of understanding that government forged last year when it, in fact, loaned $10 million to BSI so that we could have a crop. That memorandum of understanding committed the farmers to quality and to delivery by appointment, and that MOU worked so well that it resulted in the kind of crop that has now given this wonderful bounty to the farmers. I congratulate them. In terms of going forward, though, everybody knows that there is a proposal on the table from Banco Atlantida. And under that proposal, Banco Atlantida wants to invest $90 million into the sugar industry. Now, we've heard some talk, a lot of it nonsensical, suggesting that instead government should buy the factory and give it over to the farmers. Let me just make clear that we're talking about a BSI that's indebted in terms of both BSI and Belcogen to the tune of $130 million. Whoever wants to buy the factory would first have to deal with that. And then in order for the industry to go forward and for the factory to go forward thereafter, additional monies must be put in by way of working capital. The truth is, nobody in Belize has that kind of money. So what government is supporting, providing we can get the agreement of the farmers and of the workers at the factory whose employees trust own the majority of the shares in BSI. What government is supporting is for us to allow Banco Atlantida to invest. Banco Atlantida in turn would own 51% of the shares in BSI, but that $90 million would mean, since several components in that global amount would be used for increasing capacity, would be used for scaling up the size of the factory. That investment would mean that we would be able to mill more than twice the amount that BSI currently mills. It would mean that the farmers would be able to produce almost twice the amount that they're now producing. It would mean that all around, those that are involved in the industry, the stakeholders, as well as more generally the economy of Belize, would gain by the investment. I've had meetings with the farmers. Last week, Wednesday, I had a meeting with the workers. I believe we're at a point where we're working through the concerns, and I express the hope for the sake of all of us, but especially the stakeholders and the people in the north who depend on sugar as the principal mainstay of the economy in the north of our country. I express the hope earnestly that in fact we can conclude this deal. I believe that it would be in the best interest of the industry and of Belize for us to partner with Banco Atlantida in taking sugar forward to a place where it will be sustainable and profitable for the long haul. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk the Constitution of Belize now. All of you know that we've introduced the 9th Constitutional Amendment Bill, and there has been an amazing reaction on the part of certain persons who, including those that have become, it seems to me, addicted to publicity and so-called activism. But let's be clear, and let me try to start from the beginning. This 9th Amendment Bill, this 9th Constitution Amendment Bill, must be seen in the context of the fact that we operate a democracy in which the Constitution of the country is supreme. That is what is supreme. Not the Parliament, not the National Assembly, not the courts. It is the Constitution of this country that is supreme. What we're doing in the 9th Constitution Amendment Bill, what we propose to do is, first of all, to entrench the ownership of the utilities, state ownership of the utilities. We're saying that the utilities must hereafter belong to the people of Belize, and that no government should alienate more than 49% of the utilities. But in putting the ownership, in enshrining the ownership of the utilities in the Constitution, we've also gone on to say that once we pass the amendment that achieves this effect, that amendment cannot be struck down by a court of law. That amendment cannot be questioned by a court of law, except insofar as the court has to make sure that we passed it in the proper way. But in terms of the merits of the amendment or any other constitutional amendment that we might pass, the courts have no right to pronounce on the merits of the constitutional amendments. Why do we say this? First of all, it is already in the law. The 9th Amendment Bill merely spells it out, merely confirms and clarifies. It is already in the law, and it makes all the sense in the world. The Constitution tells you how the Constitution can be altered, how the Constitution can be changed. The Constitution tells you how you pass a constitutional amendment. And it says, depending on which section of the Constitution you want to change, what it is that you're doing by way of the amendment, you need either a 2/3 majority of the House of Representatives or a 3/4 majority. If you get that, you also must consult with the public for 90 days. Thereafter, the Senate also agrees, you pass your constitutional amendment into law. Once the constitutional amendment is passed into law, it then becomes part of the Constitution itself. And the very Constitution tells you that no court is entitled to question the validity of anything in the Constitution, because it is the Constitution that is supreme, not the court. The court can question any regular law that the legislature makes, and it questions any regular law principally on the basis that it has to decide whether the law is consistent with the Constitution. But the court can't question the Constitution itself. And remember that an amendment, once it is passed, becomes part of the Constitution. So is the Constitution itself. And that is all we are saying by way of the 9th Amendment Bill, that when you pass an amendment to the Constitution, which becomes a part of the Constitution, and you do it properly, nobody can question that. Not only is that the law, to me, it makes perfect sense. The people who are arguing against what we are saying would want to give power to the courts to, in fact, strike down a constitutional amendment, strike down portions of the Constitution on the basis of the judges making some determination whether they agree with the merits of the particular amendment, the particular section of the Constitution. But that can't work. That would then place the judges above the Constitution, higher than the Constitution. The Constitution, which is supreme, tells you the judges are subordinate in the same way as the legislature is subordinate. But the Constitution gives the power to alter the Constitution in a specified way to the legislature and not to the judges. And I believe the Constitution does so for the simple reason that judges are not elected. Judges are not answerable to anybody. The legislature is, so that the power that the Constitution gives to the legislature to change the Constitution, if the legislature were to abuse that power, then the safeguard against that is the people of the country, the electors, who would deal with the members of the legislature either at election time or before. So those that are, in fact, engaged on this terrible propaganda campaign use all sorts of fear tactics, saying that this bill would mean that, for example, I might get the legislature using the 3/4 majority to pass a constitutional amendment that says I would be prime minister for life. That is absolute rot and nonsense. Conceptually, it may be possible. Practically, it is impossible. People would immediately lop off my head and they would be perfectly entitled to do so. So, to introduce that kind of fear-mongering, in my view, is really reprehensible. One last thing. The position that I've just explained is the position that is the same throughout the world. In the United States, for example, the largest constitutional democracy, once a constitutional amendment is passed in the proper fashion, no Supreme Court in the US can overturn it. There is one country that's an exception, and that is the country of India. And the former Chief Justice of Belize tried to import that Indian doctrine. It was disapproved by the Privy Council in another case from Belize. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to ask you to please look at this thing very carefully, recognize that there's no magic about it, and there is nothing untoward in what we're doing. We're merely confirming what is already the law, and there's nothing pernicious about the law. I end, of course, by saying that as we have demonstrated over and over, if at the end of the public consultations it is clear that people have not understood what we have been trying to say, or are not convinced that we're telling the truth, which we are, and are not persuaded by the facts, even though facts are facts, because this is a democracy and because this is a democratic government, we will have to listen to the voice of the people. Thank you.
Well, that's it for another edition of Belmopan Weekly. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at production@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page at Government of Belize and on YouTube at GOB Press Office. And let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.